Okay, I think you're live.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Deb Sheppard and Dana. We're live. It's been a while. So we'll wait a few minutes to talk about what's coming up. I'm really excited about this. There's been a lot of people preparing for this free live masterclass I want to talk to everybody about, but I want to give some time for people to come on and say hello and do a few shout outs and then talk about this class and about what we're going to be offering. And we're going to talk about your spirit guides and do you have any and how many do you have? All those really things that people ask, all the questions that I'm asked all the time. I want to answer those in this free master class that's coming up. But I want to kind of give an intro about what you're going to be learning about and the questions that may come to mind. And when you think about who are your guides and what do they do and how magical are they? So, do we have some people showing up on here?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay, well, it's live with Dana and Deb. That's who it's here. We're
We're here. That's what matters.
that's what matters. So, what I wanted to talk about this free live masterclass. It's on May 3rd. I think it's about 3 hours, if I am correct on that. And we wanted to dive into working with your guides. And if you think that you're sort of that individual that's highly intuitive, or you're not really sure, or you're trying to investigate what does intuition mean and what does it look like. And for many people, they'll ask questions like, well, do I have guides? And are they my family members? Um, and when you read any books or you talk to different spiritual teachers, they're going to have a different interpretation of this. And I have probably helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people connect with their guides and be able to use what I call your GPS, your guided psychic system that helps you navigate life. I think sometimes we feel so alone or isolated, or we ask 50 people, what their thoughts on something when we're struggling. And what I would like for people to know is you've always had people or guides with you. And what was interesting, I was thinking, I wonder if Google has anything regarding guides. And it does. It has a bunch of information regarding what guides look like. And if you think about, earlier in life, even if you're a person of, that reads the Bible or very religious on some level, you've heard about the ancient masters that had the angels that appeared, or certain, guidance that came through that they were able to step into and share these stories. I like to help people know that from the beginning of your birth, you've had some guidance. I remember early in my life thinking and knowing things that I didn't know where it came from, but I wasn't raised in an environment that, used that type of language. And it wasn't until about 30 years ago or so that I started realizing that I am being guided. And I was able to begin to learn to trust my guides and give me information to help me in this life, to have me give reassurance and learn to trust. And that isn't easy to do for a lot of us. We need to see it black and white. We need to be able to know for sure that this is our guides and how they're helping us in life. And so my intention always is for you to find your own inner guidance, for you to be able to step into something knowing that you have a support system on the other side. And I will tell people, they're not here to give you the lottery numbers. They're not here to, have you get through your challenges, but they're definitely here to help you navigate those challenges and to know that, you're going to have a safe place to land. And I think so many times when we get into our heads or we get into our fear, we feel like we want to control things. It stops us from really trusting the ability to connect with our guides. And if we can start to learn to be able to know that we have a support system and we know who they are and what they're trying to navigate and to know that language, it becomes a lot easier. When I get in that place of real stress or in that suffering stage or confusion and feeling overwhelmed, I have a hard time. So I have to create a space to be able to make those connections. And that's really what the class is also about, is how do you make that connection? How do you create the space? How do you know to trust it? And, when you feel like it's unseen, how do you know for sure? So there's these steps that you can take to begin to trust that you do have a GPS, a psychic, guided psychic system, and that you do have these resources that are here for your higher good. They're not here to be right in the sense of, achieving certain things that our ego wants us to achieve, but help us be able to heal our past, to be able to make certain connections, and be able to help us through our fears, and to feel that we're not alone. I think there's so many people that feel that they're on an island, or they don't have the resources that they need. And so we look outside of ourselves to find that reassurance that we're going to be okay. Now, there's certain times we do need people on the outside to guide us. But with that said, you already have a design plan. And what is that plan? I think for many of us that come to see me, just learning the language to know what a guide is and what their role is, and how they're supposed to help us, and what can we ask them, and what are the resources that we have to be able to have that connection. And I know when I first really started navigating in this role, I needed some concrete proof. I was at that place where I wasn't still sure that I could trust what I was getting. And so I put my guides through some challenges to prove to me what I was getting was accurate. And I think anytime that we gain trust, it's those baby steps. So how do we create those baby steps? And it was funny because when it was shown, I thought, wow, I'm making them work really hard. And why am I making it so difficult? Why am I making it so hard for them to prove that they're there? And I think most of us want to believe that there is a higher power, or there's something beyond. And what does that look like? For many people, they may think it's their loved ones who have passed. And I have some thoughts around that are kind of comical. But the other part of it is what is it that you need guidance on? I think sometimes we feel that we have to be very independent and do it all ourselves. And we're not even asking people for help. So if you're one of those people that feel like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody, and I don't want to ask for help, I got to do it on my own, then that might be one of the kinks in the hose, as we call it. It's preventing you from asking for help. And even working with students for years, they have to be reminded, oh yeah, I have a whole team, or I have my guides, and I have this unconditional love of resources that can help me. And that is really the importance of it, is the key factor to know that it's also saying it's not that you are weak, or you're fragile, or you're a victim. It's the fact that we have resources. And those resources are sitting there. I always joke that they're sitting there filing their nails, waiting for you to ask them for help. And they're like, I'm sitting here. I'm your guide. What do you want to do? So can you then lean into it? The Free Live Masterclass is all about, opening up that portal, being able to shift your consciousness and have the ability to connect with them at a moment's notice. So for me, I've learned to really work with my energy, and to be able to shift at any time that I need to go, okay, I need to open this up and ask my guides to get the okay, or the feeling of maybe it's not time. And so it's being able to, at any chance that you're feeling a little stressed, you're feeling unstable, you want to validate what you're feeling, your guides are there. They don't want to make you struggle more than you need to. They know, though, at the same time, when we are struggling is when we really do need them. So how do you shift that? How do you take your consciousness from all the fear and all the control, and going into and leading into the knowing that they have your back? And if you've had times in your life where you feel like people, betrayed you, or weren't always there, you couldn't trust it, it can be really difficult to trust something that is not physically in your presence. But I will tell you that I have seen in her students, including my own stories, where it is evident that they are there. And I know that the things that they have given to me, I wouldn't have known on my own. It's not my own awareness or consciousness. But what you want to learn is how to bring your awareness to a place that you can open that up and you can feel the alignment between the universe, your guides, your heart, and take out that, that mind that's just chattering all the time and with all your busyness and the to-do list and all the things that keep you from really trusting that process. And like anything, it takes practice. But what is the foundation? And what I find is that we can read books, we can listen to podcasts, which are beautiful things to do. But how do we actively then open up that energy so that we can use it on a daily basis? And sometimes we think we can only use it during crisis, or we can only use it when we're frustrated, or, we're in that place of fear, or our guides are there for everything. And I always believe that we start beginning to build that trust on some basic skills, first of all. How do we start to trust? And there's so many times when people come to me for readings, and they want to know, to have some guidance. Well, I connect with your guides. I don't have your wisdom for you. I connect with your guides. And so many times people say, yeah, I felt that. I knew that. I just wasn't sure. So I help people validate their intuition. That is my job. Not for you to, trust me and use me as your guidance, but to trust your guides, to bring them in. And if you're intuitive or you're trying to open that intuition more, that will help you know that your intuition and your guides, they want to help, expand that energy. They don't want to keep it from you, but they want you to expand that ability. So we think about all of our senses. When you are working with your guides, you're expanding. I mean, you're using so many resources. It's unlimited. But what we do sometimes is we play in this little small container, and I want to take you out of that container so you can expand all of that wisdom. Take all that intuition that you've been having, all those things that you're wondering about. Should you go forward? Should you do this? Should you, whatever those could and would have shoulds that come up, your guides will help you get the answers. And it doesn't have to be difficult. I think we make it difficult because we've been raised, or we have a society that creates the ability for us to be independent. We are told to be empowered. We are told to do it on your own. Don't rely on others. That's not how your guides work. They're like, why? Why are you going to make it more difficult? Have you ever met somebody that just seems like they are constantly circling and doing the same thing and not getting out of their situation? And their story becomes more than who they are. I always think it's interesting when people make their past stories of trauma bigger than who they are. Well, as we begin to heal those traumas and we begin to look at what those things mean, all of a sudden our guides come into play. Your guides come into play to say, that is a story that happened to you. Let's take it to another level. So they will help assist you to help you heal, to find the right resources, to find the right words and the healing so that you can feel a little bit more freedom. You see in the background here my wings. So I think they're here to help you get your wings. And I don't mean that in the sense of crossing over, but be able to have the freedom in life that we all look for. We're looking for the answers. And I think there's just a lot of stress in our world these days, and people feel it. And there's a lot of uncertain times. And how do you then take the opportunity to find what's the next chapter for you? And maybe it's a whole different book versus just a chapter. And we get into fear to make change. If you're one of those individuals that wants everything to be consistent and the same, but changes are showing up for you, then what are you going to do? How are you going to trust your process? Because everyone has a different GPS. Everyone is guided in a different way. And if you ask other people in your life that are not connecting to your guides, then you're going to get answers with where they are. You're not going to get answers for you personally. You need a personal advisor that knows what you're supposed to do on this planet, that have worked with you probably from the beginning of time or have watched you on this planet to help you get out of where maybe you're stuck or you feel like you're repeating patterns or you feel like it's ready to make a change. How do you trust that process? And that's not easy. So why not get your team on board? Talk to your team on a regular basis. Start having that dialogue. Start seeing the signs from them. Being able to tap in to that inner guidance, to follow your heart, to get out of your head and quit trying to, figure out on this other level, on a human level that seems to repeat the same patterns and creates a lot of fear. Um, if you're a person that just is very logical, this can be more of a challenge. The reason why is we want things aligned in a particular way before we step into something that's of a change. Well, as we know, the only thing consistent or anything constant is change. But are you moving with change or are you resisting the change? And the longer we resist, the longer it takes for us to be successful. And success is all determined on what we think is success. And, if it's starting a business or finding a relationship or healing from your past, or maybe it's how to start a healing practice. How do you do that? Maybe it's finding a community that supports you without judgment. And sometimes these things are hard to find, but your guides will find the way to help you. And it's really interesting when you start seeing these signs from them, you're like, wow, my awareness has just gone up. And I want my awareness to continue to evolve and become more aware of what is possible. Because we all know there's more possibilities than where we are. And as humans, we want to expand. That is in our kind of our spiritual DNA. So are you ready to expand? How do you do that? How do you begin to open up so that you can see the signs from your guides? I'm so glad to see all these people here. I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on. So Dana's with us if she wants to share anything, but we want you to register because this is a free class. It's a free class. You can't lose. It's free. Your time.
Hi.
Hi, this is Dana.
I was watching you. We don't have any questions, but we have a few people watching. If you guys have any questions or,
Any
want,
thoughts?
want any insight do you want people to ask questions and get insight from their guides?
Sure, whatever. I'll answer what I can. I think part of this too is people realizing that there's a lot of possibilities. And I think sometimes we get to a point in life, we sort of settle in. This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have a birthday coming up and I know that my life is opening more doors.
Mm-hmm.
And we're never, I think the point is not to get stagnant and continue to step forward in your life, that keep uncovering, keep trying to discover things that you didn't maybe realize or that you've dipped your toe in it and maybe time to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things here that people are sharing?
Well, they're just saying hello so far, just saying hi. So no questions yet, but I was just, I'm sure they're just jumping on to sign up for the free class. So
yeah, we haven't been here in a while, so I'm sure there's a few people that are new and some people that are like, hey, where have you been?
right.
Like I think a lot of people, we've been really busy. But we're also expanding in our company. We're doing a lot of expansion. So we're excited about the expansion that we're doing. And we know without a doubt, Dana, that it's our guides helping us navigate this.
It's not coming from me.
No, I was saying, I'm not that wise. They bring in some really powerful wisdom and I'm always at awe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes we don't realize the little subtle things that our guides are trying to communicate. People have said to me, and I'll share this in the class for sure, the live master class, people will say, I really want to hear them. I'm thinking, you would be scared if they were yelling at you. But there's been opportunities where people said, I was driving my car and I heard someone say, "Put on your brakes." It was a yell, a loud voice. So they will get our attention. But at the same time, what space are we creating for us to have the opportunity to have a relationship with them? And you're creating a relationship with them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and we have Elizabeth behind the scenes kind of helping. And one of the things you talk about often just came across the screen. Are your guides filing their nails, waiting for you to talk to them?
I always say that, okay, I'm here to do my job. I'm getting paid to do this. And it's true. So many people don't realize that they're at your beck and call. They really are. They're there to be of service and, utilize it. It's like having, let's say you want to take a vacation, but you don't think you have any money, but you have a savings account that you haven't touched. Take out some money out of the savings account and go on that great vacation that you're wanting, you've been dreaming of. Your guides are sort of like that. They're a bank account that you can withdraw from.
Mhm. How do you know who your guides are, Deb? Lynn has asked that.
I'm going to tell you on May 3rd. Part of who your guides are, I always say that they're not your relatives. And I think that's a big thing. A lot of people believe that your relatives are your guides. What I'm feeling right now, is it Lynn, you said?
Yes.
I will tell her that she definitely has a couple, but one of them is a strong male. And I feel like he's there to help trust the masculine, but also sort of push her forward. I feel like sometimes it takes a while for Lynn to be able to go, okay, I'm ready for change. So Lynn, I'd like to hear if that's the case or not, but it's almost like you want that reassurance. I want to be sure before I make a step forward that everything is taken care of. All the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. And he's trying to get you to have a little bit more fun and take some smaller risk so that you are a little less fear-based, more trustworthy, or more trusting. Does that make sense, Lynn? Let's see if she comes back.
Yeah, type it in. I've never had you read my guides, Deb.
Well, you already talked to them. So also she's putting on here that you'll get some guide readings or a private session. Sweet. You guys have me working like a dog. Just kidding.
What do your guides say, Deb?
Say I need to start working more. I think too, a lot of times we don't realize that our guides are communicating with us and we are hearing them.
Mhm.
We just go into our analytical side and we dissect the information we're getting. And that is where the master class will really help take that apart. So people are not dissecting the information that they're getting from their guides. Because the one thing is your guides are not attached to what you choose to do. So, for instance, when I give advice or you give advice, especially when we give it to our kids, we give advice and then people take another direction. They don't listen, right? We can get frustrated. Like, I told them to do this and they keep repeating the pattern. Well, your guides don't get frustrated with you. Well, maybe a little bit. I should laugh about that. But they're not attached to you following their guidance. They will be there no matter what. What we do on human level is we get very attached. And so that is a piece of what the mastermind class will also provide. The master class.
How to remove the things that are stopping you from hearing.
Yes. Yeah. The overthinking. So we overthink and we dissect all the information that we get. And then we wonder why things are continuing these old patterns. Hey, did Lynn respond?
She said it sounds like her dad.
Well, let's not go to your dad. Let's go to maybe a guide. So a guide we usually don't know on a physical level. So it could be your dad sort of nudging you, but it's up to you to trust that intuition. But was it true that she doesn't sometimes make changes very quickly? She hesitates a lot.
Yeah, then you can type in your answer to that, and that's a validation. But I know Miss Elizabeth put in the chat the link to register for the free class. And we really just wanted to jump on and have you talk about that a little bit.
I've been teaching this stuff for 25 years, probably close to that anyway. And it's fun to teach about working with your guides. And sometimes people feel like it's a lot of scariness, like, what if I can't do it? What if other people can do it and I can't? I don't think I'm very intuitive. Well, trust me to help you get there. Doing work when you're working with trying to connect with your loved ones, there's a lot more attachment, there's grief, there's a feeling of wanting to, control who comes through. With your guides, it's a very different process.
Mhm.
And it can be a lot of fun. And that's the joy of it, is how do you lean into knowing that you guys have been there? How do you know that your past things that you've been advice that you've been getting have been from them, and how to get that validated? And so that's fun.
Mhm.
It's enjoyable. It's like getting a present and going, who's there behind the door, right? Absolutely. You work with your guides all the time, Dana. And what we know is that when we're in a place of trying to make some tough decisions, we can take those pauses to connect with our guides, and we'll go, oh, yeah, this is what I'm getting. We know it's from a source that has the best intentions for us versus our ego that goes into our fear and stress and
Right.
limited beliefs. And so your guides will go, nope, this is what I need to do. This is what I'm getting. And we trust it. And that's where I think everybody has the ability to be able to have those connections.
Yes.
Especially if there's a lot of uncertainty in your life, we really want to lean on that at that time.
Mhm.
Yes. I hope all of you on here join us on, May 3rd. Sign up and let's have some fun. Let's open up those energy portals, and let's have some connections, and let you be able to make decisions that are make it a lot easier for you. And what helps me is when I connect with other people's guides and give them the structure that helps them feel safe. Because we want to feel safe in our choices when we are living on this planet. When there's so much uncertainty that's going on, we want to feel as if we know without a doubt that when we make these changes or these choices, we're going to be okay. And we all deserve that, for sure. So I look forward for everyone here to join me on May 3rd for the live masterclass. And it's getting rid of that cluttered mind that we do to get that inner knowing. So thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you on the 3rd.